Good morning. Let me go. Hello, Sharon. Here we go. It is a hot day here today, and even though I'm sitting in the air conditioning, I'm feeling a little frazzled. I look a little frazzled. Hello, Brenda. How are you? Thank you for coming in today. Now, let me know if you can hear me. I've just popped the sound up. I'll just make sure my settings are up nice and high. Sound is good. Hello, Barb. How are you? Perfect. All right. While we wait to see if a few other people might be coming in, I'll just quickly duck through and do a little bit of housework. What do we got? Okay, so lots went on this week. We had the new catalogue go live, the new Mini Catalogue. So hopefully you've all seen that. And hello, Monica. How are you? If you don't have your copy and you normally get one from me, I did get some sent out, but some wouldn't go because people hadn't updated their accounts with Stampin' Up. So please let me know. Just send me a private message if you normally get a catalogue off me and it hasn't arrived yet, and I will get one out to you. We also had some new product go live as online exclusives, which you'll only be able to see online, and I don't have a graphic for that. But yeah, that is also up on the Stampin' Up shop site, and there are lots of lovely goodies in there, as well as this catalogue is extremely impressive. It has some really lovely stuff. Also, so that started on the 6th. Also, bonus days started on the 6th. So between the 6th of January and the 2nd of February, this is in Australia or South Pacific, well, in Australia. So it's different in all the markets, different amounts. But from the 6th of January to the 2nd of February, you will earn a $9 coupon for every $90 that you spend, which you will then be able to redeem between the 3rd and the 28th of February. So you can, if you put a $180 order in, for instance, you'll get 2 vouchers. So this has to be after you take off any of your Stampin' Rewards. So the retail amount after you take off any Stampin' Rewards and before your postage needs to be multiples of 90 to get a $9 coupon code, which will come via email. So keep them safe once you arrive. There was a little glitch on the first day and some didn't go out straight away, but they are coming. So keep an eye out for your emails if you've put an order in already and haven't got your coupon code. What else? We have a new product for the month for January, also went live on the 6th, and it's a stamp set, Fabulous Sayings. So this is it here. It's all sentiments, some are in a lovely font, some are little coordinating sentiments in the block font. Really, really great little stamp set. So I think this one's going to be quite popular. So remember that it's only while supplies last. I believe that the paper from December is still available as well, so you'll be able to choose which one you would like to get once your order gets to 125. So the best deal is to put an order in for 125, get the product of the month if you want it for $9, and then also get your coupon code for $9. So your coupon code will basically pay for your product of the month, and then you'll also get your Stampin' Rewards of $12.50 on a $125 order to spend on the next order that you put in. So it's win, 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 win all the way. So let's have a closer look. There's some samples that they've popped up to show us what you can do. So use it with all of your other stamp sets, obviously, but use the sentiments. So it's a lovely set, lovely stamp set. The Colour Inspiration Challenge is still running. It was a long one over the festive season. It finishes on Monday the 12th, and we'll be selecting from the many, many beautiful entries that we received. So if it won't get a chance to enter, although you've got the whole weekend yet to do that, go over and have a look at some of the cards in the designer album, and that people have been putting up in the challenge, because this was quite a challenging color challenge for me, but what people have been doing with it is absolutely amazing. So don't forget to jump on over to the color inspiration page and have a look. So I think I've covered just about everything, and I can see that I think we're at our normal following, so we will jump in and get started. So I'm going to just put some light on. I'll duck you over to the desktop, put a little bit of light on the situation. Oh, that's better. Okay, so this is a card that we're creating today. It could be a wedding card, it could be an engagement card, it could be any day to remember, but the colours are sort of soft and pretty and a little bit wedding-ish. This is a new product in the mini catalogue, so I'm allowed to show you the inside now. So it's the very first suite, the Lovely and Beautiful suite. So it is a mega suite. It has 2 stamp sets, 2 die sets, some gold ephemera, these gorgeous little embellishments, which I will have to get another set because I've nearly used all mine, and some ribbon, which has a gold, it's a natural weave look with gold through it, and of course the paper. So you can get the whole suite, or you can just pick and choose which bits that you want. But there are lots of samples in the catalogue, lots of things, there's scrapping and cards and lots of different samples to inspire you for this one. So I'm going to be creating 2 cards again today. So I'll create in the metric sizing, which will be the more detailed card, and I'll also create a card that is a little more simple, which doesn't have all the techniques, which won't take quite so long to put together if you are time poor. So let's get started. I think I've used just about every die and stamp set. So the 2 stamp sets and the 2 die sets, I think I've used them all in this one. We'll have a little look, shall we? Maybe I didn't use this. Yes, I did. I think I used them all. All right, so I've got my bits and pieces pre-cut. I'll grab them all. And we are working on a white card base today. So this is my metric card base, and I do have one prepped for the imperial sizing, which we will work along with. So that's my imperial sizing in the card base. The first step is the embossed background. Now I'm using that beautiful pattern 3D embossing folder that I believe comes with Brushworks Beauty. It's from the November online exclusive set, and I'm pretty sure it was Brush with Beauty. I need to have a big long paragraph underneath here to tell me exactly what it comes with. So I've already cut and embossed the 2 panels in basic white that come on the front of here. And they're a very tight layer, so they're quite not my normal layer. I do have the sizes here. So the basic white piece for the metric is 10.2 by 14.5. So just gives you a very narrow little border. Same for the imperial. It's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So a slightly larger layer, first layer than normal. Now I would be gluing this on straight away, except I do want to ask your advice on something. So we'll just leave it sit there for the moment and work on the next layer down so that I can ask your advice on what to do. On this one, I have inked it with Balmy Blue in the background. And we'll put the first layers together, and you can tell me whether it would look nicer with the inking or without the inking. So we'll have a little look at that when we get to it. So I'll just put these aside. So the first step is to create this balmy blue layer in the background. Now I'm going to do some white heat embossing for this one. So let me get all my bits and pieces. I've got the very large flower that comes in the Simply Beautiful stamp set. So it doesn't look very large on the front of here, but when you pull it out, it is a large flower. beautiful for colouring if that's if you like colouring with blends or watercolouring or watercolour pencils, then this is perfect for that because it's got such large petals to give you lots of ability to shade it in different ways. So pop this up out of the road for a minute, and I'm going to do my normal heat embossing prep. I've got some white embossing powder here, Versamark, and we will go ahead and ink this up. Now I'm going to do 2 flowers at once and then emboss, and then I'll do a 3rd flower. So I've got 1 down in that corner, and we'll do 1 up in the top corner. Just flip that around. Now we are going to tear this diagonally, so this top one will be used for the inside, so it doesn't have to be quite as large. Put that up there out of the road for a minute while I put some powder onto here. Now I'm going to start up my heat tool. Oops. So Sharon, let me know if it's too loud, but it's been okay in the past. So I'll just get this to move my hand a little so it's not blurry. Trouble is getting the angle right so that I can see when it turns. And then putting the heat tool on an angle so it doesn't send the whole screen blurry. I think we've got it now. Just make sure all of the edge pieces are done. And then we want 1 more. This is the bottom, so we want one more up in here. So I will again just do this and ink this up with my Versamark, and we'll pop 1 over here because we will see this one once we tear our card. Now I could put 1 down here as well, but it's going to get torn off, and then we'll also tear it off for the inside, so I won't worry about doing that one this time. On my original ones I did do this piece down here, and then I realised, well, I'm just tearing it off, so it was a bit of a waste of time. So I'll just heat that one. It is a really beautiful floral image, this one. Okay, there we go. All done. So I'll pop that aside to clean it off later. Now I've got the small flower that also comes in this particular stamp set. That one. So we're going to do some background images, and I'm going to use Balmy Blue, so the same colour. Hello, Mary. You got carried away with the cricket. and the heat gun's not too loud. Thank you, Sharon. That's great. All right, I'm going to, my Balmy Blue ink pad is not very well inked at the moment, and I was too scared to re-ink it because then it gets very dark and things happen that I don't expect when I go live. So I've left it pretty much uninked, and I'm just going to add some extra florally bits in the spaces. And this down here is where we'll tear diagonally, so, and then there's a big sentiment piece to go over the top, so really you don't need too many of these because it's just a waste of colouring, otherwise we'll just put a little one in there. And I think that will be cool because we're going to tear it from here down to here. I don't think we'll need that, but I'll just add it in there just in case. Okay, next up we're going to do some colouring. So I'm going to do tone on tone. I'll just get rid of all my powder for the minute. Tone on tone colouring with the Stampin' Blends. So I have here Balmy Blue Light and Dark, and this is going to look atrocious. When I first did this I went, well, that was a bit of a mistake, but it actually works out okay. I've got the light Balmy Blue, and I'm just going to add some colour to these little flowers first. And it looks atrocious. I wonder if I can just zoom you in. Just let me. I can't remember if I can. Oh, that's right. I have to do it over here. I'm in a different platform, aren't I? Let me just open this up and zoom you in a fraction. Going to zoom. How's that? That's a bit better, isn't it? But see how it really doesn't look great. But what happens is this is the light blend and it actually fades back quite well. So you don't even have to be really precise. And you can see it's starting to fade back there already. So I don't quite know how this works with other colours. You'd probably have to experiment because all colours are a little different. But I know that with the Balmy Blue, this does work quite well because it fades right back. And that's being onto the same coloured cardstock, I guess. And we'll quickly colour this one in, even though it probably will get torn off. So I've just done the little buds and the petals. And you can see this one is fading back quite nicely already. I'm not worrying too much about getting them exactly precise. It's just to give that little bit of texture in the background. A lot of this will get covered over. Now we're going to colour the flower. Now, when you are colouring with Stampin' Blends over embossing, over the heat embossing, I learnt the hard way to not just scribble all over the top because the solvent in the alcohol in the pen dissolves the powder just a little bit and it gets onto the end of your pen. I couldn't work out. I thought my pen had gone dry and it's pretty new. And then I realised that I'd clogged the end up with the white embossing powder and it wasn't transferring properly. So just be a little careful. I just went scribbled all over it to start with. So you want to come in between the embossing. So I'm just coming in between the embossing with the light pen. Monica just did a little watercolouring with this flower. Oh, that would be amazing. Did you put it up? Did you do a video for it, Monica? Maybe you'd like to put the link in and then everyone can go and check that out later. Get some different ideas for this flower. So I'm just colouring these petals and it looks really messy. So I'm not going to colour what I call the flippy over bits. They can stay the original Balmy Blue colour. But in the same way that those other petals faded back, this will too. So I want to come out about 2/3 of the way and I am trying to get not an even line where it finishes. So I'm just stroking it out and trying to get some variation in where each stroke finishes so I don't get a straight line across. We'll do each one, each petal. Not yet, will come out next week. Well, we'll keep an eye out for it. I'm pretty sure I follow you, so I will keep an eye out for it. And when it comes out, I'll pop the link up in our various groups. Because I'm using this one this week, but I'll move on to something else next week, and I might not get a chance to do any watercolouring with it. There's so many different products to use at the moment. All right, so this is the dark balmy blue, and I'm just going to add some shading to the centre. So again, working in between those little stameny things. One of these days, I really am going to have to look up all the proper wording for flowers. Usually Sharon Norman is probably watching, but she's not on YouTube, so she can't comment. So she would be telling me what all the proper words were for the different parts of the flowers. She's a walking encyclopedia. So again, not coming out quite the same distance as the light. I don't want to cover it all over. And just keeping the strokes pretty random. Have I got them all yet? Nearly. I'm only going to colour one of these flowers. I actually have pre-prepped one, so you're not going to have to sit and watch me do all. And I'm being quite rough, whereas I probably took a little bit more time when I did it originally. Anyway, but it's looking pretty good so far, but it's a little patchy. So we're going to come back in with the light, and I'm going to start right in the centre again. So that centre parts have 2 layers of light and 1 layer of dark. And then as you move out further, you've got 2 layers of light. And then as you move right out to the ends, you've just got 1 layer of light. So it does not only blends the light, the dark into the light, but it also gives you some different layers of colour. And again, it did take me about, I think, 10 minutes or so to do the entire panel. When I did this originally. And of course, my videos take long enough without you sitting here having to watch me colour for 10 minutes. So we'll just do the one, just so you can see what it ends up looking like. But the tone on tone is very pretty, especially in this balmy blue. I'll have to try some different colours in my spare time. Yeah, right. Try some different colours in the tone on tone, especially with this flower, because you've got so much room in the petals to blend. You can really get a lovely effect. I've gone a little bit over there. Hopefully that will, supposed to be a no colour flippy over bit. Hopefully it will blend back. So that's one flower done. So we've got lots of shading and blending in that flower, and I've left some of these little bits that flip back over as not coloured, so they are a lot lighter and they show up a lot more. Hello, Jackie. How are you? All right. So this is the one that I did earlier. So you can see I've just coloured in all the flowers. I did this one over this side here, but it's going to get torn off, so that was a bit of a waste really. But anyway, we'll, yeah, I didn't realise that until after I'd torn the other one. So we are going to tear that. Now, I was thinking that once I'd done all this, let me zoom you out a little bit again. How far out do I want to come? Probably about there. That this is pretty stunning on its own. So if you were to, you don't even need the embossed background. If you were to just, that's the wrong card, isn't it? Wondered why that didn't fit. But if you were to just put this on a white card, just like that, and then pop one of these gorgeous sentiments over the top, I don't have one here, but we'll just put the stamp over the top to show you. Say, wedding wishes. Or even just the day to remember, although it's a bit tricky to do without the back panel. But wedding wishes is a nice fine sentiment. You could put that on there, maybe even one little flower, maybe a bit of ribbon, this gorgeous ribbon that comes in the suite, like this. A little bit of a ribbon in behind, and that just in itself would make an absolutely stunning card. So you've gone now, because I've gone to all of this trouble to colour this, and now I'm going to tear it, and you're probably going to go, oh my goodness, what is she doing? All right, so but we are going to tear it. I'll get this back out of the road so I don't lose it. All right, so I'm going to start about here. I'm going to tear this bit, the right hand bit towards me, so I get a fluffy edge. And I'm just going to roughly tear down towards the base, just like that. So this is going to be my piece that goes in behind. This piece I'm going to tear like this to make a little centerpiece. So we'll tear from down here. Again, we'll start this side because we want the fluffy bit, and just tear it up, and that will go on the inside of my card. Now this is the next one. We'll go ahead, how about we go ahead and glue that down before I forget which card I'm supposed to be putting it in. But yeah, after I coloured this piece and I went, oh, don't know if I want to tear it now. But anyway, I did. I went ahead and tore it. Thank you, ladies. All right, so this piece is going to go down onto here after we pop this piece on. And I'm going to leave a little bit of the embossed background showing behind there, but we'll keep working on our centerpiece because I want to ask your advice on whether I should add the blue blending or not. Now, while we are doing this, we will also do our more simple version. So for the more simple version, I just pulled some paper out of the lovely and beautiful paper that comes with this suite. And this is Petal Pink, and it's already got white, sort of that white embossed look. I'm not going to colour it. I'm just going to use it as it is. But we will do exactly the same thing and we will tear it. However, I'm using a different sentiment, so I'm going to make this one landscape. So position your paper so that it looks like it's up the right way, but we will tear this as well. So similar fashion, top to bottom. Now I haven't pre-made one of these, so this is going to be a total let's suck it and see type card. So that's that one. Excuse me, that's my next door neighbour. Can you hear that motorbike? He's come home from work. He works very long shifts, and he's just come home on his motorbike. So hopefully that won't, you can't hear that. It's stopped now. So, and of course then this piece you could tear to go on the inside, and it'll probably have to go this way. So we'll just tear this down here. And then this one can go just on the inside like that. So we'll do that, we'll glue that in. Yeah, so I have not made this one in advance. This is totally a, let's just see what it looks like. But the principle is the same, so it should be okay. That's our inside piece. Then we've got our embossed layer, and then we've got our designer series paper, which will sit like that. Okay, next step is going to be our central piece. So that is die cut from the beautifully celebrated dies have these great shapes. The front is deceptive. They're quite large. The largest one is a very large, look how large that is on the card. So fits nicely on a card, but very large. So we're going to use the, I think it's the third one. Yes, the third one from in or the fourth one from the outside layer. I haven't used these yet, but I'm dying to use those, to find a way to use them. So I have already die cut my pieces. So I've got, flowers are already done for that one as well. And this one, I've just die cut them in white. So for the blue one, I'm going to add a little bit of blending onto the back of this. So let me grab my ink pad and a block, some blue ink. Now the other one is pink, so I'll do some pink on that one. So I need 2 blocks. Yes. Just let me grab some here. Right, so we'll do the blue one first. A little bit of balmy blue. Pick the ink up, take off the excess, and then just ink the middle of this shape. Just lightly. I think that should be about enough. And then we'll ink this one with the petal pink. So I've got petal pink here. A bit of petal pink ink. And do exactly the same thing on this one. Now, I don't know whether petal pink was the right colour to use on this one or not, because I've got different coloured flowers, but we'll see. All right, so I've got a little bit of colouring onto there. It doesn't need very much, just enough. What embossing folder are you using? It is one that I actually have the name written on. Mary's asking what embossing folder it was, and if I knew what I did with it, that would be really helpful. Here it is. I'd get in such a mess here. It's a beautiful pattern 3D embossing folder. November 2025 online exclusives. I have used this so many times because it's such a lovely, delicate pattern. It comes in the Brush with Beauty suite, I think, if I remember rightly. So, okay, so we've got our central bits. We're going to do some stamping onto here, and we're going to use grey granite. Now, at the end of this video, I'll show you why I use grey granite, because I did start off with a totally different card, and I've just continued the colours through. I haven't, not changing anything up too much. Just find some blocks. Which ones will fit? All right. So now I'm using the other stamp set, the Beautifully Celebrated. So this is the sister set to the one with the big flower in it. So you don't have to get them both, but I generally do. When I buy the suite, generally buy both and just get the whole lot, you know, because invariably in the past I've sometimes not got the whole lot and then regret it and have to go and buy it anyway. So now this little diagonal one works best if you put it on your block so that those middle pieces run straight up and down, and then it stays fairly straight. Okay, so I'm going to add some flowers to my central piece. Now, my grey granite is reasonably inked, so I'm going to stamp that off. And I'm just going to add random flowers around the place. And we'll do the same on this one. Did I stamp that off? Can't remember. Just with those little fluffy flowers, and then we'll add our bit of texture in the background. So this is quite pretty. Sort of like a splatter, but it's more defined. It's very similar to the embossing folder, which is I used a different embossing folder originally, but then when I saw this, and I thought it looks so much like that embossing folder. so it ties in quite nicely. So we'll do the same on this one. Just like that. Hello, Janet. How are you? You're watching the replay? You've got us live, Janet. You're not on the replay, you've got us live, which I know you struggle to come in live sometimes, so well done. I'll clean those off later. I'll put everything up on the bench here to clean off later. So I'm not doing it now. Okay. Now we'll need to do, before we go any further, we'll need to do our sentiment, because the sentiment is stamped in two parts. This is the tricky part that I have to concentrate on, because very easy for me to get this wrong. So for the blue card, which is portrait, we're going to use a day to remember, because that fits nicely across here like that. For this one, which is landscape, and the reason that I've done this one landscape is I wanted to use this very large stamp which says this calls for a celebration, and that's going to go across there like that. It's too wide to go even this way. You can see it goes off the edge of the card, so it needs to be landscape for that one. So that's why I've decided to change that around and do it landscape. So, concentrating, Cheryl. We're going to put these on blocks, would be a good start. Let's find some blocks to put them on. So this one fits nicely onto there. This one needs the larger block because it's quite large. Surprisingly large, really. So I'm going to stamp these onto grey granite. So I've got a piece of grey granite card here, and I'm going to just do this before I forget. Now, I want just the remember. A day to, or in this case, the this calls for a, is going to be stamped onto our little panels here. So originally I just went ahead and thought, oh, just stamp it all and, forget to put the tape on, get the Versamark all over it. I have cleaned these, so I'm hoping that they will, although I can still see a little bit of Versamark in there. So I'm just going to quickly give these a little clean with my Stamp and Scrub. Because once you've used the Versamark on them, oops, oops, don't pull the lid off, Cheryl. They are quite sticky. So just going to quickly do this. So the wet side and the dry side. Might be a bit better. And then I'll just make sure they're nice and dry. And we'll do this one. I'll do this again. I put cream on my hands just before I started, so I want to definitely make sure that I give that a good swipe with the embossing buddy. And I'll grab a little bit of my repositionable tape. You can use washi tape or the masking paper that Stampin' Up has. And I just want to do this, cover over the top part. Now there's still a little bit in here and it's going to get powder on there and we're going to have to take it off. It's just too fiddly to try and cover that over. But as you'll see from here, once you take the powder off, it does leave a little mark which sort of looks like that it's just this is just extended, so it actually comes out okay. So we'll grab our Versamark and our white powder. Just going to move everything a bit out of the road here. And I've got my heat tool. It's not going to knock everything over when I pull it out. So we'll just ink this up. Now the thing to remember is take the tape off. And then we'll stamp this up here. And I've got remember and that little bit of line there from the sentiment at the top. Right, now what I need to do is remove that little line. So get this out of the road, and I'm going to use a couple of little brushes and my Take Your Pick tool. Crash bang. So I do have got this one. This is an old brush that's quite stiff. It's not suitable as a paintbrush anymore, but it's quite stiff, so it's good for not for staying, like the fluffy bits of the brush don't come out and accidentally take away any of your words. So we'll just carefully do this and then blow away the excess. And then you can grab your Take Your Pick tool, and if you can see any little bits of extra powder, just scrape it off there and it should blow away quite easily and not make too much of a mess. Okay, so that looks good enough, I think. There's a few little bits of powder. Not that it matters because we're going to cut this out. All right, now we'll heat that. I knew that was going to happen. I've put everything down on top of the heat tool cord. Of course, now it's all fallen on the floor. Okie doke. Now I'm going to trim this off with my heat tool. But let me see, have I got a pencil here? Because I like to rule a line before I cut it, because we're going to get it really, really close. So I want a light pencil line. Here's my pencil and my ruler. Excuse all the clanging and noise. Hopefully that doesn't come out too harshly. Now I'm going to line this up so that the embossing is covered. And just rule a very light line. And the same on the top. Just slightly. And then I've got these lines to help me line it up in the trimmer. Bring our trimmer in and line those two edges up. So 1, 2. And then this side. A line that lines up in the center of your cutting track. And we've got, now I have got a few little bits of white. Any little bits of white that you have in there are going to stick, and I couldn't get rid of them all totally, but it's not enough that you can see. Grab some scissors because I'm going to trim this off at the ends. Invariably I have little bits of white everywhere, no matter what I do. That's my remember. Now I've already done this large one somewhere I've already done it. Did I just knock it all off onto the floor? Probably. Maybe I'll have to do it again because maybe I've lost it. Honestly. I need a return on my table, I think. Here it is. So I've already done the celebration in that same manner. Now, I can't see any pencil line on there. Oh, there is a little bit. So if you do have any pencil line, just make sure you take that off. I've already done it on here. The celebration is actually easier. The F you can put tape on like across here, and then I just took the tiniest little piece of tape and I just covered the Y here, and then it's all covered, and you don't really have to worry about taking any out because it's all covered and it stamps quite well. So that one works really well. So you ink that up, stamp it down, and then take the tape off before you stamp. So that one is a lot easier, and there's no fiddly removing of powder. The stamp that I just had in my hand does need to be cleaned, so I will do that again in my stamp and scrub. This one I've already cleaned. This was the wet side, and this is the dry side. I write wet and dry, even though there's a little symbol somewhere on here to tell me which side is which. Wet and dry just reminds me, because otherwise I spray the wrong side. All right, we'll do the remember first. Now you're going to have to position this where you want it and in the center. Okay, are we seeing this okay? I'm going to stamp with grey granite. Got my grey granite pad here. Position the remember where you want it. So I line this little, what is it? What is this thing called? Shape. Line it up on my grid paper. So I've got a line that's running through the center, and then I know that this is my central line, and I know I can't put it here because it needs to sit overall in the center. So you know that this has to come down a little bit. So we'll put that down here and just line it up so that it's pretty straight. And then we're going to line up the bottom of the Y where that little shape is there. So we will just line this up. I'm doing it on the wrong one, aren't I? I need to do it on the blue one. Did anybody label? That's it, Monica. Did anyone say it's behind you? Because I'm lining it up on the blue one, the pink one instead of the blue one. That wouldn't have gone down well. All right, so we'll line that up again about there. So it's center. Put this up again. So we're only really going to worry too much about the day 2. So I'm lining the bottom of the Y up with the bottom of the Y on here to roughly give me a place where I'm going to stamp. Remove this without moving the label and stamp. Doesn't matter about this remember bit because it's going to be covered over. There we go. And that will go on there like that. Now I have maybe put my flowers a little bit too far down there. That wasn't very smart, but we get the gist of it, don't we? All right, so let's do the celebration one over on here. So let's line this up and see how it's going to sit. Just fits. You've got to get this one in, obviously, so it just fits. So around about there. Okay. Round about just down below this line. Round about there. Line it up again in the centre of the label. We might have to move it across a little bit because will this still fit in there? Not quite. So we'll have to come down a bit to about here. Okay, ink this up. And really, again, it's just the top part that you need to be well inked. I'm trying to work over my phone here, so bear with me. Right, so, and really this one's just going to have to fit where it goes, but I want the celebration to be straight. Cross your fingers, that all fitted in. This calls for A, and this will fit nicely across here, celebration. Because I've covered that over, the little F doesn't show, but you get again, you get what it's saying. Right, we'll put those aside for a minute and we'll glue these on. This one, you can just go on flat. And I'm only going to put glue in the center in case I want to tuck a flower underneath. I'll just line that up. Okay, I want that to be straight, so let's line it up so that this is straight. Just like that. Same with this one, we'll line this up on here so that we know this is going to be straight. And of course we only want glue in the part that's going to sit on the actual label. And because we don't have to worry about the F, we can actually sit this wherever we like, as long as we cover over all the stamping. This calls for a celebration. That's straight. Pretty straight. Oh, I just moved it. It's not straight anymore. Don't be smart with your fingers, Cheryl. Right, there we go. Okay, so that's our two sentiment pieces. So now, this is going to sit here like this, and this is going to sit over the top. On this one, I don't think I'm going to put any sponging. I think it looks fine just like that. In fact, this looks a bit too mountainy. I'm going to tear a little bit more off here so that it's straight and not mountainy. How can I get that little bit off? There we go. There, not quite so mountainy. It's still a bit mountainy. Mountainy. This is underneath the label, so it won't matter that it's a bit wonky. We'll get rid of this curve here. Right. There we go. That's going to sit over there like that. That's better, isn't it? So I don't think it needs any pink in behind. The white looks quite nice as it is. But this one, it's got a lot more here. So that's going to sit over there like that. So we could just leave it white, or we could ink it. Do I need to tape it? Do I need to tape it? Tape. What am I taping? Oh, the second time. I see what you mean. Yeah, no, the celebration or the second word just goes underneath the top one, so it doesn't really matter. So this one I have added some blue, or it could not have any blue. I actually quite like the blue on that one. I think we'll add some blue. What do you think? Add some blue or leave it white? With blue, without blue. There's a little bit of a lag with YouTube, so I'll just have to wait a little second. I am thinking that the blue gives it more definition for the label. Add blue. Thank you, Mary. Great. Let's add some blue. All right. So we need that blue ink that I had out here before, which I think was this one, but I can't quite tell, but we'll need some more anyway. So let's grab some more blue ink. Always a little struggle here to find anything. Blue ink, some balmy blue, and our ink blending brush. And we're just going to ink. We know the label's here, so I can start here. It doesn't matter if it's blobby, and just bring the colour out a fraction. does pick up that nice pattern, doesn't it? I think that's all we need, just a little bit. Let's bring all our bits back in. It's a little bit more here. There we go. That should be enough. Yes, that looks cool. Right, so now we can start to glue some things down. So this can go on the front of the card, as can this one. Let's glue them on. Now I have die cut all of the flowers ahead of time. I'm using the small flowers out of the Simply Beautiful dies. So the Simply Beautiful dies have 2 small flowers and 2 large flowers, and then I think they're meant to go together, like one on top of the other. But in this instance, I'm just using them as single flowers with the very, very, very cute little stameny middle things. In the middle, which sort of gives them a hibiscus type look. Everyone's saying add blue? Good. Well, I'm glad, because that's what we did. All right. So now this pink piece can go down to here. So this is the back side of that DSP. It's very pretty. So pretty. Such a shame to use this other side. But anyway, suited my purposes for today. And thankfully you get 2 sheets of each design in your pack. So, and they're 12 by 12, so there's plenty of it. All right, that's glued down. Now we can glue this one down onto here. So I'm just pulling it in a fraction. So the measurements for this are slightly smaller layer than the embossed layer, than this embossed layer, because they're both embossed. So that you see a little bit of the embossing around the edge. Okay. Now this is going to sit on here like that, and this one will sit on here like this. Now they look a bit boring just like that, so it's the flowers that add the colour. So now I have pre-coloured the flowers, thankfully, for this one, but I haven't coloured the flowers for this one. We'll quickly do that because it's quite a simple process. I've die cut them already. So these are the 2 smaller flowers. I've done that in these leaves, and then there's these small little spidery elements for the middle of the flower. So I've got 4. One's for the inside. This one needs to have the, you end up with all these little pieces, which are so cute, but I did throw them all away. I didn't throw the large ones away because they're going to be, I'll show you, I did another card, and these are the large ones, and look how big they are. I mean, they're not really the right colour for grass, but wouldn't they make great grass? So I kept all those, but you know, they'll probably eventually get thrown away. But they make great grass along the bottom of your card. So they're the centres out of the larger flower. All right, we've got our 4. We've only got 3 flowers. Lucky I've got some, oh no, we've got 4. Can't count. So I'm going to use Petal Pink and Soft Sea Foam. So I have here Petal Pink in the light and dark. I've got Light Crumb Cake for the little spidery centre bits, and I've got Soft Sea Foam for my leaves. And I'm really not doing too much to this, it's just adding some colour. I did try ink blending them with the ink, and they were a little bit too harsh for this card. So is that the light or the dark? That's the dark. We'll start off with the light. I'm going to do just roughly do over the entire thing with the light of all of the flowers. So I'm using the brush end and laying it on its side. But if you don't like to use your brush end, you could use the nib end as well. So just roughly add the colour. I don't mind if there's little white bits in there. Makes them look a bit lighter. Maybe I need to zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing. Seeing as I can, let's just zoom in a fraction. I just have to remember not to go off the bottom of the screen. So we're just zooming all over, and then I'll use the nib end in the dark just to add some colour in the centre part. See, the dark's quite a bit brighter, although it does fade back. But it is quite a bit brighter, so we just want that centre part. And then, of course, just because you can, go back in and just blend those bits out. So the only time I really use my brush end is when I'm doing something like this where I can lay it on its side. Because otherwise I end up scrunching all the tops of my brush ends up. And they don't transfer the ink as well. And that's my flowers. Now we'll do the little century. Oh, I dropped one. Can I find it? It's down here amongst all the other bits that I dropped on the floor. There it is. Right, they're done with the crumb cake, just in the light, and that's just quite simple. I'm leaving the ends pretty white. The little end, the blobby bits on the end of the centre bits of the flowers. Just like that, nice and light. And then our leaves, I've got 1 for the inside and 5 for the outside. Again, we'll start with the light, soft sea foam, and just roughly throw the colour down. Now I am being a little quick. You could be not quite so slapdash as this. And believe me, when I'm creating on my own, nothing is ever slapdash. I spend so much time procrastinating over every step of the card. It's quite sad, really. Make great grass? Yes, I think so. Right, so now I'll do this in, and we'll just add some darker shading to our leaves. Soft seafoam is such a lovely soft colour. I've left the centres in here, they'll come out in a minute, just for ease of colouring. You could leave them in there and glue them on if you wanted to, but I probably won't. And then again, of course, we'll just do a little bit of, that's not the brush end. So I need the brush end to create a more wafty feel. And that's our leaves and flowers. So quite a simple process for colouring. We're nice and small, nothing too fancy. You could also have die cut them out of watercolour paper and watercoloured them, but you know, we use the blends here, so I've continued that look on. All right, so now we just need to glue some bits on. So let's quickly do that. I'll just take these centres out. Okay, I've got some glue dots here and I'm going to glue my flowers together with glue dots. You could use the liquid glue as well. The glue dots are a little bit large and they show a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. So just, don't they look cute once they've got that fluffy bit in? Can you see that? So cute. I do love these little flowers. No worries, Mon. Thanks for coming along. My hubby's here. He's on strict instructions to not use the phone. He was using the phone the other day, and we did a team thing, and the YouTube part of it was lagging so badly. One more. So he's not allowed to use the telephone, not allowed to do anything on the phone. All right, so we've got our 4 flowers. You can pick your 3 favourites for the outside, and then I will use some glue to glue the leaves on. So we're just going to copy this same layout. So we'll want one up here, and they're going to go underneath the label. So we'll try and get most of them down first and get the glue to come out. Now you're zoomed in, aren't you? So you probably can't see the top of my card anymore. So let me unzoom you. And we've got this card here, so you can see that. So we'll just, I'm just putting it on the inside bits, and we'll just sort of line these up a little bit here. We'll do a small one. Obviously, I haven't had my glue in its holder. There we go. Do a little one here. Pop one of the smaller flowers on there. Again, just a little bit of glue here, there, and everywhere. I'm not gluing the little fluffy bits down. I quite like the way that they sit up underneath. Just do that. Oops. Like that. Leave this here so I can gauge where I'm going to put the other bits. So we'll do a small leaf just underneath here. And a larger leaf down the other way. And then another one to come down over here. Don't need too much glue, just a little bit. And then a small flower. Underneath, and then the third flower goes up on top of the label, so we can do that one. Done that around the wrong way, didn't I? So this flower here is going to cover up where all those stems come together. So we'll glue this on with some dimensionals. Oh, now that's a point. Do I have any dimensionals? Oh, I do. A few. Got a few left. So we'll put some down. We'll put one out here on each end of the sentiment piece, and a couple more around the place. Just a couple, not too many. Just a couple. There we go. Take all the backs off. They're all off and just glue this down centrally about here. That. And then one other little flower is going to tuck in. Now I have not glued this all down, so I should be able to lift this and tuck it underneath. Like that. So we want it to go the right way though. Maybe up this way. It's too much. I have to go up here like this. There we go. Maybe I should have glued it on first. Maybe I'll use a small one. Oh, it's not a small one, it's a large one too. But its stamens are going in a different direction. That's better. Okay. I wasn't paying too much attention when I glued my little central bits on. They're all around the wrong way. Oh dear, maybe it'll go that way. That might be better. Yes. Okay, so just a little bit of glue. Because most of it will hang off the... I'm just going to lift this up so I can tuck this in underneath and hopefully not get glue absolutely everywhere. There we go. A bit of a push up. Here we go. So that's that one. And then we will grab the beautiful, they're called Pearlized Faceted Circles, which is a terrible name for something that's so beautiful. But I'm going through them quite a lot. So it's got 3 different colours. I don't think the colours are written on here, but these ones sort of have a blue purpley tinge. Then there's purple and pinky, and then there's like Calypso Coral type shade. So really quite fabulous with all of these lovely light coloured cards, and they're so shimmery. There we go. So that's got a little bit of the petal pink in there. Pretty cute. All right, so that's that one. We will glue a leaf and a flower on the inside. I can't even hear Duncan. He must be outside doing goodness only knows what out in the garden. How are we going to put this? Lost my flower. This one down here like that. And you could put another sentiment in here. It's highly unusual for me not to have a second layer on the inside. There we go. That's that one. And then we'll put this one together. Now I've already done the flowers for this one, but I will set this up on dimensionals. Sure must be working on his bike. Can you hear that bike, Sharon? They are Calypso Coral, Petal Pink and White. Thank you very much, Mary. So yeah, so the petal pink ones must be these more pinky ones, and then the white ones are just barely different, but they are a slightly different colour. But they've got all sorts of different colours in them. Right, so that will just give me an indication of how that's going to sit. Oh, that's looking very pretty, isn't it? Now, this calls for a celebration. So when I was trying to decide on the colour for my flowers, I did blue to start with. And I thought, well, that's going to look a bit boring. Once I put the blue flowers over the pink paper, I thought, well, that's going to look a bit boring. Not very celebratory. So then I did some in Lemon Lolly. But Lemon Lolly was also boring on its own, but I think they actually look quite nice together. The blue and the yellow, and it's much more celebratory. So that's what I'm going to use. Some blue and yellow and some green leaves. So I'll probably do 4 on the front. I know you're supposed to do them in 5s, but maybe we could do odd leaves and then that will even it out. So let's work out where we're going to put these. Put these 2 up here and these 2 down here, like that, just across the tear line. And then we'll pop some leaves in behind. I've only got an odd number of leaves, so that's probably not going to work, is it? Because we need a couple. Look, no one's going to count my flowers. It'll be fine. And then I can put some on the inside. It'll be fine. I'll put this one down here. Get rid of that centre bit. Like that. Now I could have probably, it's not too, you can hear it but it's not too loud, that's good. Probably getting some cool breeze. Hopefully he's getting some cool breeze. He did say there was a nice breeze coming through now, so after it being so hot. All right, so we're going to sort of do this. I can't take a photo, so I'm not going to remember where I put everything, so we just have to run with it as best we can. So I'm just going to, it'll probably look totally different once I've stuck everything down. Usually I would take a photo and have it sitting there so I remember. I have a very bad short-term memory retention, especially when it involves an image. Anyway, I'm sure it'll look fine. And once it's glued, baby. That's just the way it goes. Now, how did I have this one? It was tucked in under here. This one was tucked somewhere out here, so it can come out here somewhere, hey? Glue all over my fingers. Do the blue one. Just a little bit of glue. Pop this back in the centre so we can make sure that we're going to cover our bits up. I think I've actually come a little bit too far away. It's going to have to come up here a little bit. Put that one there, and then the yellow one can go over the top here. Stick out this way. I'm going to cover it over. That might be good. Something like that. That'll do, won't it? That'll do. Something like that. So this was Balmy Blue. This is Lemon Lolly, which I thought would be nice and soft, but it is a little bright, Sharon. It's not very cool. I wonder if I can shift that a little bit. All of the others shifted on me, so maybe I can shift this one too. There we go. A bit better. And then I've got so much glue on my fingers. Let me wipe them on my jeans. That's better. Right. Now these little leaves. We'll do the big one first. And pop it down here. Do this one. I should have had another leaf somewhere because they came in lots of 3. I did this 3 little leaf dies like this, so surely there's another one hiding here somewhere. I've just lost it. This one will have to come up and behind there like that. And then we'll cover in the gaps with our flowers. So this time the yellow one can go underneath and the blue one can be on the top. There, like that. Stay. And then the blue one. The blue one is a large one. I didn't even look at that when I picked them up. Oops. There we go. All right, and now I can stick this down. Now I haven't put a flower up on top of this one. I don't know that there's enough room, to be honest. But we'll see. Okay, so roughly in the centre, something like that. Is that straight? Nope. It's not even in the centre. Roughly in the centre. When I say roughly in the centre, I mean, you know, centre. Not even roughly. I don't know why I said roughly, because I don't mean roughly. I mean in the centre. All right, now, the other one had a little flower down here. Maybe what I could do is cut this bit off like that, tuck it underneath there, and then it can be sort of a part flower. Just give that a little bit of a scrunch up so that can go in underneath there. Yes, that can go on there like that. That's good, Brenda. You've got this set there to play with. Could use any flowers really, but the words are pretty special. Here we go. Here we go. And then these two can go on the inside. Not quite sure how, but oops. We'll put them up this time we'll put them up here, up the top. Here we go. Okay, we need some little shiny things too, don't we? Scrape all these out of the road. Which shiny things will we use? See, we haven't really got, it really needs a different colour. Might have to use the white ones again because they've got a little bit more blue in them than the others. And you know, I've got glue everywhere, so I'm going to just get my, before I put my embellishments on, I'm just going to get my luckily this is a nice soft card, so adding a little bit of white powder is not going to hurt too much, and that would just cover up any of that glue that leaked out everywhere. Right, now we'll use the white ones again. Could go and find a different sort, but we won't. A different colour, like a blue or a yellow would be nice. We'll put another little one up the top here somewhere. Over here. There we go. All right, so this is the Imperial sizing. Now again, I will do a tutorial for this. Did everyone get the newsletter with the tutorial in it last week? So I did the tutorial for both cards, the simple and the more involved, last week. Thank you, Mary. Brenda has both sets. Perfect. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Sharon. And Leonie. Hello, Leonie. Thank you. It's good to see you here. But I will do again a tutorial for the simple one and the more involved one, and you have metric and imperial measurements for both cards in those tutorials, and they do come in my newsletter. So I found that more people would see them if I put them in my newsletter. So let me just zoom in a fraction. So they're the two in the imperial sizing, and of course I would love it if someone did one. I will try and do one, but coloured, you know, and just did this panel with a sentiment across will be just lovely as well. So that's another little idea, but that's the two different cards, and of course you can do them in any colours you like. Have a little bit of experimentation. That would be lovely to see. Sylvia, hello, thank you. Oh, look at all those flowers and kisses. I think she might like it. Lovely to see you here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the hearts, Brenda. Thanks for coming along. Let me come back to me. I'll just move over a bit, turn the light off so that it's not glaring in my eyes. So I can say goodbye. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Again, a little bit over the hour, but that's okay. Everyone knows how to use the fast forward button. So yes, so Brenda, I'd love to see your cards. If you make any of the cards, email them to me. I'd love to see them. It's always so much fun when you see when someone else makes your cards. It is such a compliment. So I love to see them. Even if they're a little bit different, I love to see them too. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for coming along. And I will see you all next week. I'm not sure what we're using next week, but it probably won't be. I can tell you what we're using next week because I wrote it down. Ooh, we're going back to the annual catalogue, and we're using the Kintsugi Inspirations. That's a bit of a blast from the past because that's been out for a while now, so that's what I'll be using next week. Thank you very much, ladies. I will see you all then. Bye for now.